What is up, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of the Dense Pixels podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Brad, joined by my co-host, Carrie.
What's up?
Another honky cast this week.
Honky cast.
Feeling under the weather. Micah's still on assignment. The news is light. We'll take it after last week. We don't have a lot of games to talk about, but a lot of good questions in the post. So I'm looking forward to getting into that. Before we dip into the show properly, though, as usual, housekeeping. Don't forget, if you're not a member of our Discord, you're missing the opportunity to ask us questions that we'll answer on the show every week, among other benefits like chatting with other listeners of the show and us about a variety of different subjects. You can join that by going to densepixels.com/fans. It'll take you right to the Discord invite. Also, if you want to subscribe to the show, we're on YouTube at youtube.com/densepixels. Click the subscribe button. Also, whatever other video hijinks we get up to end up on the YouTube channel. If you're an audio-only type of podcast person, just search for TNP Studios in the podcast app of your choice. You're sure to find us alongside the Nerdpocalypse, Black and Black Cinema, and the Look Forward Political Podcast. And if you'd like to support TNP Studios and Dense Pixels with zeal, all we're asking for from you is $5 a month. You can check that out at densepixels.com/premium. Carrie, you saw what many are calling the cinema event of the year. None of those people are film critics, but film goers appear to be
having a good time.
Yeah, the Super Mario Galaxy movie.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on that?
So I haven't really had time to sit down and play anything new. I'm still basically just playing Pokopia. I did roll credits on that, so
did Emily. I think she's at like 60 plus hours at this point. She is playing that game incessantly. So
I rolled credits. There's still a lot that I want to do in this little game. I'm locked in on Pokopia, man. It is scratching an itch in my brain. I got a little verklempt at the end of the credits, honestly. Like I'm such a fucking like little tender queer about Pokemon anyway, but like I have fully enjoyed my time in Pokopia. So that's that. But yes, Ian and I saw the Super Mario Galaxy movie on opening day. And I was I wouldn't necessarily say apprehensive going into it, having read some of the like reviews on it, but there was definitely like a little concern because it scored worse than the first movie. I was like, oh man, like, I thought the first movie was fun, but was not really anything necessarily to write home about. Like many Illumination films kind of fall into that for me of this is fun, but this is a kid's movie. And I do have to like go into it with like, I am not the target audience for this movie, but I was fully therefore expecting the Mario Galaxy film to not be as good as the first one, but I honestly thought it was better. I fully enjoyed every bit of it. I don't want to get into like spoiler territory. I will say that like my one kind of big gripe is I wish that they did more with Rosalina as a character. She's just kind of there to be a damsel, and I'm not the biggest fan of that. I do love the sort of twist on the lore that they introduced for her, as well as for the other princesses. I just think it's wild that it is the year of our Lord 2K26, and we got a major Hollywood large budget animated motion picture that has fucking Wart in it from Super Mario Brothers 2. The amount of Mario Brothers 2 US, of course, keeping in mind that the United States version of Super Mario Brothers 2 was not the Japanese version of Super Mario Brothers 2. We got a reskinned version of a game that was originally called Doki Doki Panic. But that there was so much love between Wart and Birdo and Mauser, and then the music from 2 that was in the score. The score, Brad, the score of this film is so good.
I did hear that unlike the first movie, I think there's only one needle drop in this film.
There's only one needle drop, and it is expertly used.
Okay, that's good. I still haven't seen the original Mario Galaxy or the original Mario movie. but
It used a
when I
lot of
heard,
licensed
yeah,
music.
when I heard that there was a lot of like licensed tracks in it, I'm just like, what are you doing?
Right, and
You
what
have the
sucks is
Mario
that
oeuvre to
it
choose
had
from.
come out, like, after the fact that they had like, recorded score or an iteration of the score that made use of things like, you know, Donkey Kong and Mario music, so
Mhm.
that was a big kind of gripe that I think a lot of people had about the first one. Not to be found here. It is all there is so much Mario Galaxy music, there's so much Mario 2 music, there is so much Star Fox music. Brad, I was like, what the fuck are they gonna do with Star Fox? And they managed to execute that whole thing really well in a
Mhm.
way that is clearly setting up for like a Star Fox spin-off film, which I'm all about. You know, I have to keep in mind, like, one, look, I know you don't like Star Fox. But I like an on-rail shooter, and I know that Star Fox is one of Miyamoto's like favorite things he's ever fucking done. So if he gets to go back into that world and one, hopefully make a good Star Fox game, because it's been a while since we've had one of those.
One might say it would be the first time if they managed to pull
You would say,
it off.
but two, if we get like a deep dive into the Star Fox lore via either like a film or an animated series, like I am so fucking for that. I think that's really cool that they're trying to set up to do that. um so yeah, I mean, I had a really good time. A lot of the musical beats also got me like a little misty, in so much as just like, man, sometimes like whether it's like particularly Gusty Garden Galaxy, that
Mhm.
kicking
Oh,
in during
of
certain
course.
parts, I'm just like,
That's like the I would argue that aside from the Mario theme, I think Gusty Garden might be the best Mario music. Like if you're going down the playlist.
yeah, yes. I think Gusty Garden is definitely up there in terms of all-time Mario tunes, from across the franchise. It is top 5 for me, for sure.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I mean, I thought it was really good. I thought, again, like, for as much as I think Chris Pratt is an untoasted piece of white bread of a man, I also think he does a pretty good job as Mario, and I
Yeah.
think he does a better job in this film than he did in the first movie. Like, I'm not even thinking about him as Chris Pratt in this movie. Um, Everything's good. It's just like, if you have to go into this understanding that like you're not going to get fucking masterpiece theater here. It's a Mario movie made by Illumination. It is a kids movie. It is a spectacle of a film. But there's enough going on for longtime fans of the
I
franchise.
yeah, but I was to say I would just need like the references and the Easter eggs.
Yeah.
Like just the fact that they're leaning so heavily on Super Mario Brothers 2 is shocking.
A lot of Mario
Especially
Brothers
because
2
like
is so
Nintendo's
fun.
barely
Right, exactly.
copped
Nintendo
anything
doesn't
from
give a
Super
shit
Mario
about
Brothers
Mario
2.
Brothers 2, and here
Yeah,
comes
basically
Illumination
the only
like,
thing that fucking
you want
survived from that
Wart?
game was like Shy Guys and Birdos sometimes. Basically, is the
Right.
only two things that have.
Lot of Shy Guys,
Yeah,
Birdo gets action, Mauser gets action, but, like, Wart Wart voiced by fucking what's his name, Luis Guzman, to the point where, like, they animate his lisp perfectly as well. I'm just like, "Oh, like, this is good. This is good shit." What I will say, this movie made me dislike Yoshi less.
as we all should, as we all should strive um to open our hearts to Yoshi. Where you might be a little put off by my Star Fox dislike, I have never bought your Yoshi slander, which I'm not a fan of.
I don't care for Yoshi,
He
but
is a fantastic dinosaur.
he's a good boy in this movie, I will say that much. But yeah, I had a good time. I think it's absolutely worth seeing in theaters. So yeah.
Maybe well, like I said, I need to watch the first one at some point. I don't know why I haven't yet. I own it because we got it for my son. So like
Yeah.
I have it on streaming. It's just a
Yeah,
matter of actually
just
sitting
watch
down
it.
and doing it. So
In the same way that I think the Sonic films, like the first film is more of like an adaptation of like the general characters
mhm.
and sort of establishing the film canon and lore. Mario very much did the same thing with the first movie as
Yeah,
far
I
as
mean
just
you have to get the
establishing that.
you have
And
you
then
have to get the
the
normies in the door, right? Like
and
you can't just come out of the gate swigging with deep cuts and Koopa kids and shit like
right.
that in the first Mario movie.
So
I get
I do think that second film is definitely like cool. We are just straight up adapting direct game material now. It is a mix of Galaxy and a little bit of Odyssey and a good bit of Mario 2 kind of blended together. And then there is a post credits, and they are very much setting up for an interesting sort of roadmap for
that. Mhm.
what the next film is going to be. So I'm fully
In
on
the
board.
Mario universe, or do you think that they're already pivoting to the Smash Brothers? Like I said, no
I don't
spoilers.
think we're getting Smash
Okay.
Brothers. I just that doesn't what Smash Brothers doesn't have a fucking plot. Like I don't think
As we discussed last week, you have to fight the hand. Like that. Like
the
that's
hand
what you
is
have to do.
not
Yeah.
enough of a plot.
Yeah, sure it is. Subspace Emissary and what was it? Spirit Trials, whatever the fuck the
Yeah,
other mode
whatever the
was
fuck.
called in
No,
Ultimate. Yeah.
I don't think they're gunning for Smash Brothers specifically, but yeah, I'll tell you offline as to not spoil anything
Okay.
on the podcast.
Look, my opinion, like we're already ripping off Mario 2. We're throwing that in there. Mario RPG has to be next.
Mario
Like that.
RPG would be very cool.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
like
not
I
what I
said,
think they're gonna do, but
no, probably not because there's too many like one-off characters in Mario RPG. But it would be cool. It would be cool.
dude, if we can have a fucking movie that has Wart in it, I think we can get a movie that has Mallow. I don't
Yeah,
think
we
that's
get
that much further
Gino,
of a
Smithy, the whole gang. Everyone's here. Confrogtious or whatever the fuck that fucking guy's name
I
was.
don't know.
Frog, or was it Confrogtious or was it Frogfucius? I think it might have been Frogfucius. Mallow's grandfather. I can't remember.
I haven't played Mario RPG, so I don't know.
Wait, ever?
No, I haven't.
Carrie.
I know. And here's the thing. So I think we have a hard copy of the remake somewhere in the house. So that's
and the
on my
remake's
to-do
pretty
list.
good.
Yeah.
What? So like I said, my mind continues to be boggled. So you've played all of these like long epic RPGs from the 16-bit era, but like the shortest ones, you're just like I've managed to somehow avoid.
Haven't done it. No,
Okay.
I've done like the 80-hour bullshit, and I haven't done any of these like 20 to 25-hour one-off RPGs.
And the thing is, again, like much like Chrono Trigger, you would probably really like Mario RPG. It's very cute. It's a very cute
Yeah.
game. So, my marathon playing this week has been curbed somewhat because I got access to the Civilization 7, the third workshop, because they're playtesting the big Test of Time update that they're dropping late spring, early summer. And this overhauls a lot of the game systems that kind of hold up the back end of Civilization. Because one of the big complaints about Civ 7 is that the objectives in the game feel too railroady, because as you play through the ages, like you have your 4 different paths to victory, right? You have military and science and culture and economy. But in each age, the objective for each of the different categories remains the same. Like in antiquity, with culture, you always have to build wonders, and when you get to exploration, you always have to form a religion and convert other civs. And in the modern age, you always have to dig up like ancient artifacts and stuff like that, and that's how you progress that victory. And there's no real difference there. So what they've done is they've replaced the victory system with like a points-based system, and now things that you do throughout the entire game will contribute to that overall victory score. So like now with culture, like is spreading religion and digging up artifacts and building wonders going to help you? Sure, but so is unlocking bonuses that'll give like other aspects of your civilization culture boosts, and so is like building culture specific buildings and things of that nature as well. And they've really done a broad number of this with like the economy and military victory paths specifically, because again those had very strict guidelines, and I feel like that those are much more open. Science and culture feel a little similar to how they did in the base game, but I like the changes to military and economy quite a bit. So, but basically, it just gives more avenues of play to kind of advance toward the victory goal. And then the way that the victories come into play is starting at the middle of the exploration age, so the middle of age 2, you can earn a victory. But in order to earn a victory at that early point in the game, like let's say I want a culture victory, my tourism, which is the culture score, has to be, I think it's 5 times higher than the next highest civilization, which is really difficult to do that early in the game unless you are just bodying everybody in tourism and everyone else is just shitting the bed, right? And then the way the game works is as the game progresses, that interval shrinks essentially, where it's, you like, then it becomes 4x, then it becomes 3x, and eventually I think like when you get really close to the end of the modern age, like you only have to be like 1.25x over the next player essentially. And then once you trigger that, like a 5-turn countdown starts as like a warning to everybody else that you're about to win. If other civs can somehow close the gap or bring you back in those 5 turns, then that'll stop you from winning and you have to build the gap up again. But typically by the time you get to that point, you're probably on a glide path to victory. So the other big change is that the legacy paths, which are in the current version of the game, which I kind of mentioned, those same objectives that you have to chase in every era, depending on which types of victories you're going for, they've been replaced with a system called triumphs. Again, they're just much more sandboxy in how they play. So instead of, again, just like in the exploration age, if you're pursuing economy gains, you have to create treasure fleets and send them to your mainland and drop them off, and that's one of the ways that you can earn triumph points. But now there's all sorts of other ways, like having gold buildings and establishing a lot of trade routes with other civilizations and slotting resources into your empire and stuff like that. And each triumph has specific rewards that it gives you. Some of them are instant bonuses. Those are like the minor triumphs. And then some of them unlock what are called dedications, which in the following age gives you like a bonus that you can slot in to your empire, which are very similar to like the legacy paths unlocks that they had, or that they have in the original version of the game. Overall, I like it. It doesn't feel as different moment to moment as I thought it might. But I do like the fact that there's more ways to kind of pursue each avenue of victory, or at least that's the way it felt to me. A good example of this is in the last game that I played with Xerxes. I was pursuing a military victory, and typically, like in like exploration currently with military, you have to conquer and establish settlements in distant lands. And I didn't really do that. I stayed kind of to the home continent, and I was still able to progress and earn different unlocks and stuff like that. So like I said, it's an interesting way they're taking it. They're still eliciting feedback from the community, obviously, through this playtest to see about balancing and are the rewards for the triumphs strong enough and things like that. So we'll see what happens when this actually comes out. And then finally, the biggest part of this update is that you can now play as the same civilization throughout any of the civilizations throughout the entire game now. So when the game starts in antiquity, you can pick any civ you want. If you pick, and the way that it works is that, so like if I pick let's say I pick an exploration age civilization, right? Their what's called apex era will be in exploration still. But
Okay.
in the other eras, they'll still have some of their abilities, but they won't have access to like their special unit that they get, or their special buildings or unique quarter that they have. That's only going to be available in the exploration age. But what they have added is this thing called synchronism, where once per age, if you're playing with the civilization that's not in an apex age, you can actually unlock a unit or a unique quarter from one of the unused civilizations from that era as well. So you can kind of incorporate those into the game as well. And if it's not working well, like if you pick a civ at the beginning and you're like, like this one's not really doing it for me, or I want to switch this other one, you still have the ability to switch to another civilization if you want to. And then if you switch to one in exploration, you could take that one into modern, or you could switch again. So it's there again. I like the fact that they're giving the flexibility in the system. They're not making you say, all right, well, you either have to say the whole way throughout, or you have to switch. Like you can't do in between. You can kind of mix it up, which I think is a pretty cool thing. I mean, overall, I think the updates are pretty cool. When the update comes out, it's certainly going to get me right back into it. I've purposely been not playing because I know the update's coming, so I just want to wait and experience that. So,
Nice.
but yeah, good shit. I like I said, I liked it a lot. I plan on streaming it. It doesn't look like I'm gonna have time because I know this playtest ends on Wednesday. But you rest assured that when the full update does come out, you'll see me on Twitch playing that, and then I'll get posted to the YouTube channel as well. On to the short docket of news, starting with some unfortunate news. Yoshihisa Kishimoto.
You got it.
Yeah, who is the creator of Double Dragon and the River City franchise, has passed away, unfortunately, at the age of 64. This was confirmed by Famitsu earlier today.
Yeah, I believe his son confirmed to Famitsu that he had passed away. So, yeah, I mean, Kishimoto, creator of the larger, we know it in the United States as River City, but the Kunio-kun franchise, as well as Double Dragon, really a early progenitor of the beat 'em up genre kind of at large. A dude who took a lot of inspiration from his own youth of being a bit of a juvenile delinquent, a kid who watched a lot of kung fu movies starring Bruce Lee, and then used those moves on his classmates after school and got in a lick of trouble about it. But yeah, I mean, in addition to Double Dragon and Kunio-kun, this is a guy who also did some of the earlier like WWF games. He did WWF Superstars and WWF WrestleFest. A handful of other kind of one-off titles like Blockout, United States Championship Volleyball. He's doing a lot of volleyball games with Kunio-kun especially. But someone who returned to the Double Dragon franchise as late as 2017 for Double Dragon 4. For as much as Double Dragon, I think more recently has not been able to recapture the success of its earlier arcade days. You do have to give a lot of credit to Double Dragon, and definitely Double Dragon 2 for really kind of setting a standard that would then be followed by the likes of Streets of Rage and like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle games in terms of like what an arcade beat 'em up game kind of should be. I love beat 'em ups, dude. Like River City Ransom. I feel like I've said this on the podcast a few times. River City Ransom is my favorite NES game, and it's not even close. I am such a fan of a funny little beat 'em up, and I don't know that there's any game that like better encapsulates an early funny little beat 'em up like River City Ransom. So this is definitely a bummer. This is a guy who worked for a long time as like a freelance kind of consultant for a few different companies for beat 'em ups and stuff like that. So it's a bummer. He seemed like a very interesting character as far as the video game industry is concerned, and certainly leaves behind a huge legacy in terms of basically the entire beat 'em up genre. So
yeah, very much so. Yeah, we talked about Double Dragon on the show several episodes ago, how it just hasn't had the same staying power, even as much as like Final Fight has kind of stayed in the consciousness more, and Final Fight was certainly more popular in Japan, I think, than it really ever achieved in the US. But certainly for you real ones out there who don't know, like Double Dragon Arcade was one of the fucking games.
That was it.
Day. Yeah, it
like
was
you
really
don't
good.
you don't get a Final Fight without Double Dragon. You don't get Streets of Rage without Double Dragon's success.
And I think part of the thing that hurt Double Dragon is that the NES ports of that series were kind of poor,
not great,
compared to the arcade game for sure. I mean, for fuck's sake, like in the original Double Dragon for NES, you couldn't even play 2-player, like it was single player only, and that kind of defeats a lot of the purpose there. So, but yeah, safe home to him. Again, 64, still pretty young, all things considered in this day and age. So, certainly sucks. But his legacy will certainly live on through the games he made. I mean, weirdly enough, most notably the River City series, I think
Yeah.
probably has more legs than Double Dragon certainly does in the
Yeah.
current day. So
It's interesting, and of course, it feels like within the last 5 years, especially, we've seen such a resurgence in arcade style beat 'em ups.
mhm,
So, I feel like I like to hope that's going to continue for a bit.
yeah.
So,
Uh, a weird story that I certainly kind of reacted more hostilely to when I first read it, and I've kind of come down a little bit, but still, it's kind of perplexing. The Mass Effect scriptwriters who are currently making the Mass Effect TV adaptation for Amazon have been instructed by the head of global TV for Amazon, Peter Friedlander, to so basically he's like reading all of the scripts for all the shows they're working on before giving them the green light to start production and stuff like that. And he has basically told that the writers of the Mass Effect TV show that the scripts need to be rewritten to quote make it more appealing to non gamers, which sounds like a scary sentence when you first hear it, because my knee-jerk reaction when I hear these things is like, oh, like they're going to take away the things that makes Mass Effect special,
yeah.
and dumb it down for a more mainstream audience. um and I'm not quite on that ledge as much as I was, just and it's for the same reason that we just talked about with the Mario movie, right? Like you have to get people that are not fans of the series in the door. Like sorry, like the Mass Effect franchise, the TV adaptation is not going to be hyper successful if only fans of Mass Effect are
Right.
watching it. Like you need to get you need to do what the Fallout series did. You need to get people who have no idea what this game is, and but can be presented the world and the setting and the characters in a way that is easily digestible, and then you can get into the more complicated bullshit
Yeah.
later on down the road.
Yeah, there needs to be enough there for fans of the franchise to kind of immediately be able to buy in, but there needs to be a sort of broader sci-fi appeal for everybody else.
Right.
So,
And again, like Mass Effect will definitely be. I would hope if they do it right, and a very appealing series to fans of sci-fi. It is one. It's still one of the coolest sci-fi universes that I think has been created, and the level of detail to which the original writers kind of fleshed out that that far future, soul Milky Way is really impressive, especially if you really get down deep in like the different codex entries and stuff like that that's in the game. So I hope that this edict is not going to get rid of all that stuff. Like I hope that stuff will still exist. Like you want fucking Hanar there hanging out in the Citadel as well and things like that. Like
yeah.
that's funny, and they'll be interesting looking characters as well. So, but we'll see. Like I said, this would be one of the few video game adaptations that I will definitely tune in for, if for nothing else out of morbid curiosity when it happens. So. I titled this post in the docket, "What the fuck are we doing here?" This is your update for the current RAM apocalypse that's going on right now. So, the Lenovo Legion Go 2 is another one of these PC handhelds that followed in the wake of the Steam Deck, but has more higher end internals than the Steam Deck does. Like the Steam Deck is definitely meant to be that accessible entry level device to this stuff. The quote unquote affordable version of these handheld PCs. Kind of think of
Right.
it as akin to like the Switch compared
Mhm.
to like
Mhm.
the PlayStation 5 and Xbox One. And we've seen a couple competitors like Asus with the ROG Ally and Lenovo with the Legion Go enter the space at higher price points, but with beefier specs. But the higher price points were like still like they were high for what they for compared to the Steam Deck, but it wasn't like astronomical. Like the Lenovo
I
Legion Go
mean,
2.
the Legion Go 2 I thought was astronomical because once you cross into four figures, you're hitting
Yes,
astronomical.
right,
So,
and especially when you're talking handheld PCs, the Lenovo Legion Go 2 was basically $1,100
yeah,
when it first debuted. Now $1,100
seems
is a
reasonable.
fucking bargain compared to what the Legion Go 2 is currently at. So the two SKUs that are available for the Legion Go 2 took a price increase. The base Legion Go 2 jumped from $1,100 to $1,499, $1,500 with a Ryzen Z2 processor. And if you want the Z2 Extreme version, you better be ready to fork out $2,000 US dollars.
1,000 real money bucks.
Yeah, a price jump from $1,350, which was
$650 price jump in 6 months. So
it's like 50% basically.
Yeah, if you're upset that tech is costing so much more right now, it's because you morons keep using ChatGPT. It's because of AI. It's because of generative AI specifically, because they keep just sucking up all the bandwidth and all the RAM and all the everything in order to fucking fart out ugly cartoons of you and your family and poison the entire city of Memphis, Tennessee. I cannot tell you how mad this makes me, because like I really want to upgrade my PC and I just can't afford to do it right now.
I mean two grand was almost as much as my like desktop that I built cost, with like a fucking 4070 Ti and 30 and 32 gigs of RAM and all these other doodads and bells and whistles and shit like that.
Yeah,
that's nuts. By the way, the ROG Ally, the Xbox Ally X, which has the same chipset, it has the same Z2 Extreme inside of it, is currently $1,000. Curious to see how long that lasts. Can't imagine it's going to be long, considering that we're seeing prices going up on everything. But I will implore you that if you thought about buying a Lenovo Legion Go 2, do not, in fact, do that. It's a terrible idea. It is definitely not worth that price point, especially for a Windows gaming handheld. Like, no, absolutely not. I can't imagine what Terrence would say if he was here. He would be aghast.
Apoplectic, I think he would be.
Yeah, so it's a pretty fair. It's a pretty fair estimation. I mean, fuck it, look at that price. Just buy a gaming laptop. You'll have a much better experience.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not as portable,
literally,
but it's better. Or again, when they come back in stock, just buy a Steam Deck, which is still remarkably hanging on at $599 for the OLED. So for now, yes, indeed. So yeah, that's fucking bug shit bonkers price point for a handheld PC. But again, this is where we find ourselves thanks to the RAM shortage. So, but again, hey,
every time if you're listening, every time you use ChatGPT for anything, doesn't matter if it's for like a funny picture or to ask for dating advice or what the fuck ever, every time you use it, or any other generative AI like Gemini or Claude or what the fuck ever, however many awful, terrible pieces of software there are out there right now, every time you use that shit, you legitimize that price. Every single time you do it, you legitimize that price.
I will say one thing though, we did get one of these scum-sucking pieces of shit out of there, because not on the docket, but Sora is no longer. Yeah.
They lost their $1 billion Disney investment.
Yeah. You know why? Because I guess all the people that invest in Sora is like, there's no way to monetize this. So why the fuck are we dumping money into it?
It's almost like certain people have been saying that from the start. There's no way to monetize this. There's no lasting value prospect to investors because generative AI can't actually make anybody any money. And if anything, it's just going to cause more issues like wider spread AI psychosis and hallucinations. And I can't wait for this bubble to pop. And again, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I hope that eventually we just get to hunt Sam Altman for sport, especially after that Ronan Farrow New Yorker piece came out today, man. If you haven't read that, please read that.
I haven't yet, but I can only imagine how insane it is. Hey, look, Iran might take care of this for us since they seem to be bombing data centers all over the Middle East right now. So.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens there. Final bit of news this week. We may be getting somewhat of a solution to the payment processor crisis that is encroaching on video games that we talked about several months ago. And it might be from the most unlikely place that you could have imagined that it would happen. the Donald Trump-led FTC has warned payment processors like MasterCard, Visa, Stripe, and PayPal that they cannot deny service due to political or religious views. This came from FTC Chairman Andrew Ferguson, who says, quote, full participation in commerce and public life necessarily requires that law-abiding individuals can access and freely participate in our financial system. It is inconsistent with American values to deny law-abiding individuals the ability to run their legitimate businesses and feed their families because they attracted the ire of rogue American officials, overzealous activists, or, more worryingly, foreign governments seeking to control public discourse. That is why President Trump's August 7th, 2025 executive order on debanking makes clear that it is unacceptable to debank law-abiding citizens due to political affiliations, religious beliefs, or lawful business activity.
Now, what I think this the reason why I think this happened is because they probably realized, oh, this could be used against us too.
Yes, 100%.
So,
and like I said, a broken clock is still right twice a day, as the old saying goes.
So good. If this is what fucking takes care of it, that's great. Like, here's the thing. Like, I don't care if a game's got fucking titties in it. Like, I don't care if
it's not the titty games they're going after, though, is the thing.
Some of it is like,
but I feel like a lot of it though is just like disturbing themes that
disturbing
people are not.
themes. Yeah,
right.
I mean, like,
and by disturbing themes.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, it's like a big part of this was like, Itch stopped showing anything that was deemed not safe for work to users. Stripe specifically said it could not support sexually explicit content or anything like that. And it's like, here's the thing. And I just read this moments before we started this fucking recording tonight, where basically if you let them ban porn, then they will call you pornographic when they ban you.
Mm-hmm.
So, not everybody's kink is for everybody else. That doesn't mean that like that content should be deemed illegal. Like, not everything is for everybody. If something gives you the ick, just fucking move on with your life.
Yeah, but believe me, there are tons of video games out there that I find objectionable for a whole host of reasons.
Sure.
Like not that I find this objectionable, but like, do I really need like the I Am Jesus Christ game that has been kind of memed this past weekend to be out there? Like, not really. I don't really feel like I need to see that, but I'm also not going to be like, no, I Am Jesus Christ should not exist. Like, what the fuck?
Right.
Like, who the fuck am I to levy that shit down? This gets overused to death, right? To the fact that it's become cliche. But I mean, the fucking like, I did not speak at, first they came for the Jews and I did not say anything because I'm not Jewish. Like, that whole fucking routine is rooted in, in reality.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's the same thing. Like, if you let the most objectionable shit, come to pass, they will keep going.
Yeah.
Like, you have to throw the stop sign up from the get-go.
Yeah.
To make sure that this stuff does not encroach further, because they will not stop. There will always be someone out there with an axe to grind and perhaps dark money to throw behind your cause that doesn't like something that you like and says, well, this shouldn't exist because I don't like it.
Yeah. And keeping in mind, this whole fucking issue started because a very puritanical group in Australia managed to lobby the right people in Australia, which then had worldwide consequences for everybody else. So don't yuck other people's yum. Just fucking block and move on. If you see some shit that you don't like, as long as it isn't explicitly illegal, block and move on and fucking carry on with your life.
Yep.
Easy enough.
Great advice. Great advice to apply in many facets of life, not just video games, by the way. So blessedly, that is all the news that we have to deal with this week, which means that we can go right into the Dense Pixels post office, where you can ask us questions that we will answer on the show every week. All you need to do is be on the Discord by going to densepixels.com/fans. And you can do that just like Crash Override did by asking, have any of you met a celebrity while playing a game online? I met Gary Coleman during an online deathmatch in 2003's 11 on Xbox Live. I played with him for about an hour.
Or 13.
Yeah, was that what's called? Yeah.
Yeah.
What did I say?
You said 11.
Fuck. I can't read Roman numerals apparently. It is definitely 13. Holy shit. If I have, I don't know that I have, I can say.
I guess the closest I would say, playing an online game with a celebrity would be like, I've been in Splatoon matches and lobbies with like Aaron from the Game Grumps. And that's
Oh,
mostly because like I I'm not gonna say like I'm friends with, but like I'm friendly acquaintances with another YouTube streamer dude, Jimmy Wetzel. This is years ago. But like, yeah, it's like I was in just like a Splatoon lobby with I think like the general kind of like Game Grumps
mhm.
dudes. And there was one match where I was getting Aaron real good, and I know that dude was getting real fucking heated because I got him like 5 or 6 times in a row, dude. But that would be it. I mean, like, I've met like I would say actual celebrities because YouTubers aren't fucking celebrities.
Right.
Like, let's be real, they're not.
Well, and
Guys is dudes.
I did think of one example, and again, like I don't know that I would go as far to call this person a celebrity per se,
Yeah.
but I did get matched up with Greg Miller one time in a Mod Nation Racers lobby because him and I were two of the few people who actually really liked that game when it came out, and are sad that it died such an early death.
Yeah, like I've met actual celebrities. Like
Yeah,
I've met Bill Murray. I know Hall of Fame baseball players. So I'm not worried about running into
yeah.
celebrities in like online games.
But that is crazy that Gary Coleman apparently was a 13 player, and
That's funny.
that you
Yeah.
play the Xbox Live stuff. Phil Wander asked, "What do y'all think of the criticism from critics about the two Mario films?"
I mean, here's the thing. A lot of kids films generally don't score well with critics because critics are adults and they are not the target audience. There's a lot
Mhm.
of, I think, kids films that are perfectly cromulent movies that just don't score particularly well with critics because critics aren't going in with the mindset of an 8-year-old.
Sure.
So that's kind of where I'm at. We talked about the films on the show earlier. I think they're fun. They're not like incredible masterpiece cinema films, but they're fun. And if you go in being like, this is going to be a popcorn movie and this is just going to be like a visual spectacle, then you're going to have a good time.
And also too, like I would imagine that a lot of people that would see this probably took their kids, and like that's really who you're going for, right?
Yeah.
In a lot of those instances, is to take them, and they're going to enjoy it probably no matter what because they like all the characters that are on the screen, and they're not thinking too hard about the plot details. So, yeah, like you said, they're worth what you pay for them, which is nothing. So there you go. Jace Roke asks, has anyone heard of the book Dungeon Crawler Carl? I highly recommend the audio version. It is hilarious. I own this book. I've heard it's very good. I just have not gotten around to reading it yet. So
yeah, I've heard of it.
Yeah.
I haven't read it. But knowing that it is a audiobook, and I have a lengthy commute Monday through Friday, that might be something I add to my listening.
I still cannot do audiobooks. Like I just can't. I have to read. Because audiobooks to me seem like too much like podcast, and with podcasts, I'm too used to being able to, bring my attention in and out depending on what I'm doing and what the topic of conversation is. And with a book, you can't really do the same unless you're just using it for background noise. So, but that is not what I would be doing. So, Jace also asked, as a new PC gamer, I got a stock gaming PC from Costco and a curved 32-inch gaming monitor. How do you stop buying games on sale on Steam? I just bought the Tomb Raider trilogy for $10.77. Mind you, I already have the trilogy on my Xbox One. I'm skipping this generation of consoles. I may never go back to the PC gaming in Steam. Crash Override had the right answer, and it was exactly what I was going to say. You don't skip buying sale games on Steam. You just buy them all and never play them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sorry. Like, I know you were hoping for a better answer, but the answer is you wait until it's at the lowest possible price, and then you're just like, well, now I'm gonna buy it. And if it's under $5, it doesn't matter whether you've heard of the game or not. If it just looks interesting, you're just like, fuck, yeah, whatever, go for
Yeah.
it. So, Cam asks, have any of you people ever been 1/10 this zooted? And he posts the picture of a very drunk Tiger Woods in the back of the cop car with a towel around his head and looking like he is praying up to some sort of god of some kind.
Cam, I have not been that drunk, but I have absolutely been that fucking zooted.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, we've all been there. I think
I have
those of us that partake for sure.
I have been, yes. If you partake, there have been times where you ever take a new brand of edible and then you end up kind of scared. Yeah, been there. Been there. I've also, like, look, full disclosure, I've also done a couple different hallucinogens. So, like, absolutely, in terms of who on the podcast has been that zooted, it's me. I'm probably the person on the network who has been the closest to that zooted. So
Yeah, I don't know that I've ever reached. I don't know that I've ever reached like enlightenment levels of that apparently Tiger Woods has, but you know, we've definitely had some existential moments.
oh yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
especially when, like you said, certain music you listen to when you get in those states definitely ascends you in some way, shape, or form. So T-Wash asks, what media, in your opinion, shows the scariest depiction of the future? For me, it's Black Mirror, with how it showed what can happen with technology. The Terminator. Because we seem to be headlong cannonballing towards the Skynet future, just on a little bit of a delay.
As a woman, I gotta go with The Handmaid's Tale.
Sure. Yeah.
That to me is far more horrifying than like true like nuclear destruction. So
yeah, also
and
depressingly
far more based in reality.
Yeah, sure.
That could happen.
Trad wife culture and all that shit, and fucking actual real women being out here like, yeah, women shouldn't vote. I'm like, you realize you are a woman.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. Couldn't be me, but you know, some people definitely have some fucked up thoughts in their head. Beach Boy asked, with the state of things and the high prices of virtually everything, games included, do you think we're about to see a resurgence of vintage gaming? I know you all mentioned what classic games and consoles you got and been warning homies of the downfall of generative AI and how it's screwing gaming up. I think classic games and nostalgia is what may save some of us from the brain rot. Here's the problem with that assessment, is that the price of vintage games are also like have been going out of control for the last several years.
I mean, it started to come back down now that you have the major class action lawsuit against a lot of games and heritage auctions going through, and that bubble in particular has kind of burst. I think retro game prices in 2026 are probably better than they were in 2019, 2020. But I mean, sort of yes and no. I've been talking with some, I've talked with people recently who are like, oh yeah, I picked up a 3DS and I'm going back and playing old 3DS games that I didn't play. I feel like it's kind of always been there, and maybe more people are just kind of talking about it now that people kind of want the thing to really push back against generative AI with. So
yeah. And I mean, the fact of the matter is that, you know, emulation has existed for a really long time.
Also true.
And there are some really cool hardware emulators that are really getting out in the market right now, between all the different Chinese manufacturers that are making good shit, and between like if you care about FPGA, all those different consoles and stuff like that are starting to come out. So there's certainly lots of options for retro enthusiasts. But as far as like shoot hardware, prices would still have to come down quite a bit in order to really see a resurgence of that. But the other thing is too, like, you know, with Steam and the prevalence of PC, it's a lot easier now just to have access to these games, especially like indie games, in a library that's pretty much infinitely accessible. I mean, I don't see Valve going anywhere anytime soon, as far as the company goes. So I understand where you're coming from, and certainly it'll be interesting to see how the AAA space specifically evolves or
Yeah.
devolves maybe in the next 5 years. But I think the indie space continues to only grow, and that'll be there for quite some time. Mad Coco G asks, this has probably been asked already, but have any of y'all ever had the desire or at least the idea of making a video game once? I had the burning passion to make an RPG until working at GameStop beat it out of me.
Yeah, I've been kind of sitting on a really stupid idea for probably the last decade now. I really want to do either like an RPG or a visual novel specifically based on the music video for the song The Call by the Backstreet Boys. I am very much a sommelier of Y2K era Backstreet Boys, and I just want to take all of that information that makes up a majority of my brain matter and turn it into something. So we'll see if that ever actually materializes. I have had the joy of like actually working on music for a game. So if you haven't purchased Toho Farming Mina Rico's Homestead Harvest on Steam, that is still out in early access and has gotten some major updates since its initial launch last September. And I have more music that I have to work on for that. So please pick it up.
I have never had this compulsion, and also like this also correlates to like the board game space, because people have asked me like if you were talking about designing a board game. It's like I really haven't. Like I like evaluating other people's designs more than I am a creative in that sense. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of like I don't know, like I feel like I'm a good critic, but I'm not a good I'm not a good creator, and those skills are not necessarily transfer, you know, they're not necessarily, you know, part of the same pail, as it were. Also, I don't have any like the skills to make a video game really in any way, shape, or form. I would be a good game producer though. I'm really good at coordinating people and, you know, get and coming up with like good action plans and things like that. But as far as like actual like, you know, getting my hands down and coming up with like concepts or narrative design or anything like that, it's not really my forte. So Film Wanderer asks, it's been 5 years since, or sorry, 25 years since WCW's final broadcast on TNT. Any lasting memories besides the final segment? Carrie, what are your lasting memories of the last WCW Monday Nitro? That took place back in 2020.
I was 11.
Yeah.
I would say my lasting memories of anything related to WCW is just the video games. So
Yeah.
I remember playing WCW versus NWO World Tour on the N64 and then WCW Nitro on the PlayStation. So that's really my biggest memories of WCW, is just like sitting at different friends' houses in their living rooms playing mediocre to decent wrestling games for the time.
I very specifically did not watch this episode because WCW was pretty ass by the time it got down towards the end there. The only things that I remember just from seeing video clips, I remember Ric Flair wrestled Sting, and it was really embarrassing to see Ric Flair wrestling in a Monday Nitro t-shirt because he was, I guess, ashamed of how his body looked at that point in time, because of course he was not, let's say, in the peak physical condition of Ric Flair's life.
No.
Obviously Booker T became the five-time WCW World Heavyweight Champion on that Monday Nitro. And yeah, Film Wanderer's point, like the lasting memory of that show was the end segment when WWE used the last segment of Monday Nitro to build towards WrestleMania. Because basically the way that it worked is the last segment, Shane McMahon came out on Nitro, because like Vince came out on Raw and was like, we're doing a simulcast like to announce like me buying WCW and it's gonna be awesome. Right. And then Shane McMahon comes out and the famous line is like the contract says McMahon, but it's not Vince McMahon, it's Shane McMahon, and like that Vince like freaks out and stuff like that. So I think it's very funny and very apropos that the end of literally the end of WCW was used as a story segment to build for WWE and their pay-per-view. So that is what happened in WCW through various mismanagements and other sorts of things. Autumn Toyman asks, dinosaur survival horror games are making a comeback, it seems. That old genre, that bloated genre. What type of scenario is your favorite? For example, the protagonist knows what they're getting into from the start, or something else.
I don't know, man. Like, I didn't really play Dino Crisis.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, though. Jurassic Park and Resident Evil are two great tastes that taste great together. Like I feel like Capcom just nailed it the first time, and
Yeah.
we have the right things going on here, because that was literally just a Resident Evil game with dinosaurs.
I mean, I guess if I had to, these are two things that I do not feel especially strongly about. Those being dinosaurs and survival horror
games.
I
feel a little more strongly about dinosaurs than I do about survival. But
I would say I also feel
only
just a smidge stronger about dinosaurs. Dinosaurs are cool. I fuck with dinosaurs a little bit. Yeah, I guess it's like, I guess it's more interesting if you kind of if the dinosaurs have lore, if there's established like why are there dinosaurs here, rather than being like we're gonna go into a laboratory and oh no, there's dinosaurs. I feel like the latter situation is immediately goofy. So I feel like the dinosaurs need lore. I feel like you need to go in kind of knowing that there's going to be dinosaurs and why.
I honestly, I think the best version of this is you have to do like a Planet of the Apes, but with dinosaurs. Maybe like that's what you do is you find that you're the lone human on a planet filled with hyper intelligent dinosaurs who can also speak,
Okay.
and kind of rule things. Maybe that's how you go in this situation. So, but yeah, like I said, Dino Crisis. Like I said, they got it right the first time. They made 3 of them somehow. Like I know people say 3 Dino Crises. Yeah, there were many Dino Crises apparently, and they sold a fraction of Resident Evil because people were just like, "Well, I like zombies, and dinosaurs in this concept is weird." So
yeah,
did not do as well. But I do firmly believe that we will get a remaster. Maybe not like a Resident Evil remaster style remaster, but like a touching up of those games.
Yeah.
So
okay.
Finally, Seekent says or asks, "Am I the only one who doesn't understand people using Steam player counts as the barometer for success, especially when games are released on multiple platforms? I'm referring to the quote stories about Marathon being a failure or dead."
I mean, it's certainly not the only barometer for success, in the same way that like batting average is not the only barometer for success when it comes to baseball, right? It has to be taken as part of like a larger examination of statistics about a game. But in the same way that like you can't just look at initial sales of something and be like, oh, well, therefore it was a big success, especially when you're running a live service game. You do kind of need to see that there's a consistent player base, because if you're doing, any kind of ongoing online game, whether it be an MMORPG or a live service or a looter shooter or what the fuck ever, like you do need to be able to check in on these statistics and being like, okay, cool, well, this has had at least, 10,000 people concurrently playing for weeks and weeks on end. Therefore, we know that like we have a really strong player base that we can continue to cater additional content to. Whereas if you have a game that starts off and there's hundreds of thousands of people playing concurrently week 1, and then that completely tanks by week 4, then that gives kind of reason for panic, right? Because if you're trying to sell add-ons and expansion passes and whatnot, then who are you really selling to if the player base has immediately lost interest in the product?
Yeah.
So it's got to be kind of taken as a snapshot, as part of a larger picture of everything else that the game has going on, in terms of determining success. So
and I think the reason why Steam player numbers are so talked about is because they're public, right?
Yeah.
Like you can see them through SteamDB, which is how people get them, and so they're the only metric of that kind that we can all like look at, and so it makes it very easy to be able to tell a narrative from that, whether that narrative is true or not, by the way.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I can't remember who said it, but in the wake, because to see Kent's point, there's been a lot of quote unquote discourse about this
Right.
in around marathon specifically. Um, and I can't remember who said it. I think it might have been a former Bungie, um, the higher up or something of that nature, or somewhere along the lines, who basically had to like go out and say like, I got to tell you, like people think that this is important. Like it's really not. Like publishers don't care about Steam numbers because like we can see the numbers across all the platforms,
Yeah.
and you guys cannot. And to their point, like it doesn't tell the entire story of the game, right? So like, and here's why people say this. So, like I have SteamDB pulled up right now. So Arc Raiders, which is the the big extraction shooter, has a peak concurrent of 120, or sorry, a peak 24-hour peak concurrent player count in the last 24 hours of 126,000 players. Marathon has a peak high player count of the last 24 hours of about 31,000 players. So people see that and they say, "Holy shit, Marathon is only a quarter or a fifth as popular as Arc Raiders. They shed a whole bunch of players from launch. This game is dead game. It's going to die. Like it's going to be super crazy. Like and it's going to die going away." You don't know what success is according to Bungie and Sony for Marathon. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like is it player counts? I think more likely it's probably revenue, right? Like are people buying the game? Are people buying microtransactions within the game? Like if that 30,000 is like your core player base that are going to be playing the game all the time, then and if they're spending money, well, then guess what? Like that, it's okay to have a game that has 30,000 concurrents if those 30,000 people are kind of in the mix and dedicated to what you're doing. Also, Arc Raiders had a 8-month head start on marathons from pulling from a similar community. I think marathon scared a lot of people away just because it is a much more like competitive. It focuses much more on the PvP aspect than Arc Raiders does, which, as far as extraction shooter goes, it probably can halfway be classified as a fucking cozy game in some aspects, with how chill the PvP can be in some lobbies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so I say all this to say, number one, truly, if it's a single player game, does not matter at all, right? Like a single player game having crazy numbers to me is more of a statistic, like an interesting story
Yeah.
and an anomaly than it is
Because
an
it's like, oh man,
indication.
like everybody's playing this fucking game right now,
Like for
right?
example,
Like,
Slay the Spire is currently, like if you're looking at 24-hour peaks, is the 4th most popular game on Steam right now. Now Slay the Spire does have multiplayer. That's not why Slay the Spire had a peak concurrent of 350,000
yeah.
users in the past 24 hours. And also, like if I'm looking at this list now, I'm going to read off just through the top 10, and I'm not going to read every game. I'm going to read specific games, and I want you to tell me what all these things have in common. Ready? Counter-Strike 2, PUBG, Dota 2, Apex Legends, Rust, Delta Force. These are games that have been around for years that have very built up communities. And so any new game is going to struggle to crack into that. Like Arc Raiders seems to have kind of carved that out. Like they're constantly hovering around the top of those charts. Marvel Rivals made it in there because they came in at a time where Overwatch was weak. And oh, by the way, it's all the Marvel characters that you know and love. So like, yeah, like they're gonna get themselves in there. GTA 5 is still like rocking the charts, obviously, as well. Rainbow Six Siege has been around for a decade. Warframe is still hanging around up there again. Huge, big community that's been around for a long time. And that's really the story, right? Like it's actually more remarkable, I think, when a game is able to kind of crack in to that upper echelon and stay there than it is for a game to kind of struggle to get there. And I got, like, as much as Sony would probably love Marathon to be like in the top 15 Steam concurrents like all the time, like wouldn't that be fucking awesome?
Yeah.
I don't know that they thought that was a realistic possibility. And as far as the we the gamers go, you don't have to care about that at all. Just play the fucking game. Like if you're having a good time, just play the game. Like the thing is, like for me, like Marathon could shut down tomorrow and I'd be really sad about it. But at the same time, I'd be like, I wouldn't be like, I would have wasted money. I played Marathon for 50 hours already so far. Like I've got my $40 worth for sure. Like if it went away tomorrow, I'd be like, wow, that fucking sucks. But what a time. Like what a fucking hell of a run. And it sucks that we live in an age where that is the reality, right? Like where even successful games are still getting teams fired left and right because like it's never enough. It just isn't enough to keep these things going. And no matter how successful something is, it like if the line's not going up exponentially year over year, like people are going to lose their fucking jobs, right? Like that sucks that where we live in. And so this is another one of those things where it's like you kind of have to block out the noise, get off of Reddit, get off of Twitter, right? Yeah. Like and just stay out of that discourse and just fucking in the sage words of Dwayne The Rock Johnson, enjoy your gaming. That's all you got to do. So yeah, don't get fussed about Steam Player Guides. People are going to draw whatever narrative they want to draw by that. Carrie's point on batting average is a really good point about this. Like there's still some people in baseball, like baseball, for those of you that don't know, in the past 30 years really has gone through like an explosion, and they've kind of been the pioneers of advanced statistics in sports that a lot of other sports are just now beginning to adopt. But there are still some people that, despite having all these statistics out there that are a much better evaluation of a player's performance, there's still some people who are like, well, how many wins did a pitcher have last season? How many saves did he have? Like two stats.
His ERA?
Right. Well, ERA still kind of matters, but like
it's still
one of the
gold standards, but you can't take ERA on its own.
No, you have to incorporate that with stuff like FIP, and you have to put with and all these other acronyms that only fucking nerds have ever heard of and understand
dips and
what they mean. And again, like Carrie mentioned, batting average. Batting average used to be the statistic that measured like a hitter's usefulness in baseball for a century. Yeah. And now batting average is garbage. As far as
it's garbage, but like it can't be the only thing that you use to determine an offensive.
But if you're looking at a player, like, are you going to look at their batting average or are you going to look at their OPS? Are you going to look at
OPS, exactly. OPS, which is on base percentage plus slugging. Right. Because you've got slugging percentage, which is a measure of how someone hits for power. And then on base percentage is, in addition to your ability to reach via hit, is your ability to reach base via walks. So OPS is probably the current gold standard for valuing offense. But yeah, I mean, it is just like, you can't take one stat on its own and be like, well, this is the barometric for
and even OPS. Arguably, OPS plus is more useful than just the OPS by itself, because OPS plus accounts for the rest of the league
for like ballpark stats and all sorts of crazy shit. Yeah.
So, like I said, a lot of you can. The point is that statistics can be used to tell any story that you want. It just matters how you massage the data. My favorite statistic is that 75% of all statistics are completely made up, which is one of my favorite jokes of all time. So there you go. Good slate of questions out there. Thank you all very much for submitting those. Again, densepixels.com/fans to join the Discord to ask them yourselves. And guess what? No 2-hour show for you guys this week. You freeload moochers. A regular ass episode because the news behaved. You're welcome, or sorry, or depending on your perspective.
Whatever
on that. So, but yeah, that's it for me and Carrie. Thank you all very much for watching and listening, and we will see you the next time.
See ya.
You're watching the Dense Pixels YouTube channel. Click the subscribe button while you're here, and make sure you check out our weekly podcast where we discuss the latest gaming news and our impressions on what games we've been playing.